Hey, Bestie.
Hey guys, got two Bestie homeschooling mamas coming at you. I am Gale.
And I'm Christina.
And we have a interesting episode for you tonight. I think it can be controversial, but it doesn't have to be.
Oh.
But we're going to talk about kids' chores. And should they have them? What's appropriate? All the things. So today's topic is one that every parent wrestles with. Kids and chores. Should children have chores? And if so, what does the Bible say about it? We are going to explore the timeless principle from a biblical worldview. Here's our perspective into this important aspect of parenting.
Yay.
Let's dive off with, should children have chores just to begin with? And from a biblical perspective, we can find guidance on this matter in the Bible. Mm-hmm. So that's where we're going to go.
One of my favorite verses is Proverbs 22:6, which says, train up a child in the way he should go. Even when he is old, he will not depart from it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I hold solace on that one a lot right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yes. And people can say that that's about behaviors and adulthood and all the things, but the training all happens while they're in your home, right? So chores are part of that, and whether or not they should have them. So teaching children to contribute to the household through chores is a way of instilling responsibility and work ethic at a young age. Mm-hmm. Now listen, hear us. You're not talking about your kids being your maids. We're not talking about them doing all of the housework. We're saying they should be contributing to the house because they're making the messes too.
They are. And when they have their own house with their spouse or roommates or whatever, they're going to have to know how to contribute.
Right. And that's going to be important for them to be contributing members of society.
Absolutely.
So you got to do it in the house too.
Yep.
So another good Bible verse for this one, in Ephesians 6:1-3, it says, children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and mother, which is the first commandment, with a promise, so that it may go well with you and that you may enjoy long life on earth. It's basically the respect your mother and father commandment. Children are instructed to obey their parents here, and that part of that obedience can include helping with chores. By teaching children to obey and assist with their parents, we're helping them to learn a valuable life lesson that will serve them well in the future. Mm-hmm. With that said, yes, kids should have chores. Now, what type of chores should they have? Should the chores be based on household needs, or should they be based on age appropriateness, right? So chores can teach children about stewardship and how to serve others. But in my opinion, it definitely has to be age appropriate.
Oh, sure.
You know, and what is right for my 7-year-old might not be right for your 7-year-old.
And that's the key, really, is maybe it's not age appropriateness, but ability. Ability. Because you're right. Your 7-year-old and my 7-year-old are going to be able to do different things.
Right.
Yes, I think that should factor into their ability. Yes, you're teaching them, you're training them, but are they physically, mentally able?
Comprehensively,
right.
Yeah.
Are they able to do what you are asking of them? Right. Or are they able to do it, but they just need a little bit more help? They need you next to them more often.
Yeah.
You know, all of those need to factor into it.
Right. And I think it's easy to, my son is only 7 and he is developmentally probably closer to 4 or 5. And so I don't give him a ton of things, one, because it doesn't stick in his brain long enough to remember to do it. And 2, I'd have to literally hand over hand with him a lot of times. And so we do that so that he knows, like, when we get undressed for the night and we do jammies, like, he knows to take his clothes and put them in the dirty hamper, those kinds of things.
That's a chore. That's a task
right.
that he has to do.
Right.
Cleaning up after
in his playroom, he tries to clean up as best as he can, but he definitely, as of late, he has been, like, in the last several weeks, he's been more self-sufficient on getting his own snacks and putting those into the sink. But he's not a kid who at 7 is going to be, I did try and teach him how to dust the other day, a couple of times. He's not super interested, but we do it just the same when we do our cleaning day. And he helps Dad try and clean the bathroom. But again, it's all side by side. He's very parallel to everyone that he's with. So yeah, he's not going to be able to do chores on his own for a long time, I think.
And but that's okay. Because you're still modeling that for him.
Right.
If you're doing the things around the house.
Right.
So he sees that, Mom does this, Dad does this.
And if it's something I know he can do, I will make him do it. I'll be like, no, you know how to do that. And I know you know how because I've watched you do it before. And I make him do those things. And it sounds crass if you don't know him or me well, but it's because I don't want him to think, one, I'm his maid or that he gets whatever he wants when he wants it. If he is capable, I want him to use his capabilities to help himself.
Absolutely.
He's a very critical thinker. He's really good at solving problems, but he's also a mama's boy because I'm with him 24/7. So I've been trying really hard to let him be capable of those things.
I think sometimes for us busy moms, it can be really hard to let them do the things because it's faster and easier if we do it instead.
Right. And it's done correctly the first time.
Right. Right. But there are so many things that we do around the house every day, every week, every month that I think you can find something that they can do, small, little, minimal, that they can do, that they can take ownership of. And it's not as overwhelming if they do it wrong.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like dusting. I think that's a fabulous example. Is he going to get it perfect? No. Is that okay? Sure. If you go behind him later and do it again, is he going to notice? Probably not.
And when he's not watching.
Right. Don't obviously, please don't do that. Don't give them a job and then immediately do it them after. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't redo it while they're watching. It's so terrible for their confidence.
It is. Please don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. So do it when they're in bed or later on in the day or whatever.
And I will even say, they're doing something, especially the older ones, and then you need to correct them. Don't just immediately go into all the things they did wrong.
Right.
Find the things that they did well first.
Right.
And comment on those. You still need to correct them. You still need to say, okay, this dish is not actually clean.
Right.
We need to do this and this before putting it in the dishwasher. That's fine.
Right.
You have to share those things, but find the things that they did well first.
Right.
You did a great job getting these dishes done. Thank you for doing the dishes. I really appreciate that you got your chore done.
Right.
Let me just show you this one didn't get quite clean.
Right. I want to show you what the expectation is and how to get there.
Yes, exactly.
So that you can have success every time you do it.
Yep. Now, I wish I could say I was perfect at that because that's not how I respond every single time.
Yeah.
But it's definitely
more
better
often
when we
than
can
not.
respond that way.
They're going to be more responsive as well. And you want to build them up and show them that, we really do appreciate when they do the things. And so I think that we have to point that out, especially if you know what your kid's love language is.
Yes. Yes.
Like if your kid is a words of affirmation kid, that is going to be paramount.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And if you don't know what your kid's love language
Find out.
is, do the quiz, read the book. It's amazing.
Yes. Very helpful.
And it changes sometimes as they get older.
Sure.
So you sometimes have to re-quiz yourself for that kid
as they get older. Sure.
But it helps with more than just chores.
It does. It does. Absolutely. Yes.
So kind of along these lines where chores can teach children about stewardship, I've got a Bible verse here. It says in 1 Corinthians 4:2, moreover, it is required of stewards that they be found trustworthy. So we were kind of just talking about that, but by entrusting your children with these tasks around the house, we're teaching them to be good stewards of the resource and responsibility that we've given them. And I think that's important because that goes along so much farther than just a chore and responsibility. We've always said to our kids, we don't clean the house because we need it clean. We clean the house because the Lord provided it to us and we want to take care of it.
That's good.
We never want them to think that, well, I mean, my husband is OCD. We all know this. It's fine. We've talked about it. He says that he feels this way about it being clean because of these reasons, right? He's like, the Lord has blessed us with these resources to have this home, and we need to take care of it because we are stewarding this resource. And so that's what he has always said to Mackenzie, and what we've now started saying to Corey as we are trying to teach him to be more choreful. I don't know what word that would be, like to help with the chores. So that, I think you need to remember that it's a trust thing too, that you're giving them a chore. You're going to trust that they're going to get it done, and you're going to trust that they're being responsible about it.
Yep.
And that says a lot too when you're parenting.
It does. Absolutely. And in all things, there's a balance too. Right. Just keeping that in mind. There's a balance to, well, like we said, what's reasonable for them to do and what is not versus.
Right. This is not free child labor, y'all.
It isn't. It isn't. And going to the other extreme to where you have the perfect house where you can't, we all know that person as, maybe someone related to you where you can't touch anything because it would get dirty or messed up. And, we don't want to be that extreme either. Just putting that out there. Yeah.
That's a good point. For sure. You want the house to feel like teamwork.
Teamwork. Yeah.
Right?
You want it to feel like home.
Yeah. You don't want to forget that the importance of teamwork within the family. So Ecclesiastes 4:9-12 speaks to that, about the strength found in unity, saying two are better than one because we have a good return for their labor. Which children participate in chores alongside their parents and siblings, and they learn the value of cooperation and mutual support. And that's important too.
It is. Yep.
At whatever age you're giving their chore.
Chores can also foster gratitude and humility. When children contribute to the household, they develop an appreciation for the efforts of others and understand the importance of serving one another. As Galatians 5:13 says, "You, my brother and sisters, were called to be free, but do not use your freedom to indulge the flesh. Rather, serve one another humbly in love."
And that verse encourages us to do that.
Yeah. It does.
So, and I think that is also part of being a family. And, when you live in a house, you have to help clean it up.
Yeah. And I think we can all relate to when the house is messy or things are out of place. There's just an added level of stress or anxiety. Your kids feel that too. And I am saying this from a place you all know. I've said it before. Gale knows. My house is not perfectly clean. There are days that it looks like a tornado went through. And then there are days where it is, you can breathe, right? So they feel that too. Yeah. Us working on continuing to, even if it's not, cleaning is not my strong suit. It just isn't. But I can tell you, my kids know I try. They know that I am working towards, it being cleaner and feeling more comfortable, and they feel it when it's clean.
Right.
They feel that it is more relaxed in our home.
Right.
So them being able to contribute to that, I think really sets them up for when they launch on their own and have their own space that they call home.
Right. And I mean, it can go from one extreme to the next. Like if you are a child of a hoarder, your house tends to be more picked up, right? And if you are the child of a family who has to have it pristine, then sometimes those children end up being messier because they just can't handle the stress of keeping it clean all the time, right?
This is where the balance needs to come in.
Right. Struggling with that because my husband has always been, I am not the cleaning girl, y'all. Like I am the cleaning person in our house, but Landon helps every week. But I didn't like to do it. I didn't like to do it.
Anyone like to clean?
Well, Landon likes to clean.
He likes to clean.
He likes it because he likes the way it looks when it's done.
Well, I get liking the way it looks when it's done, but
so it has to happen.
Doing. Yeah, he enjoys the doing.
I don't think he minds it. Huh. I mean, the man works full time and he still helps me. I shouldn't say helps me. He still cleans the house with me, every week. And I honestly don't know a lot of stay-at-home moms that have that situation with their husbands.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So I'm very grateful for that. But Mackenzie is not as pristine as Landon, that's for sure, but she's still growing in her adulthood. But because Landon is who he is, you know, I don't know how she'll portray that as she gets older, you know, kind of thing. So
yeah, because like as you just said, we kind of tend to do the opposite of what our parents did.
Yeah, I mean, and I grew up in a house that wasn't a hoarding house, but it wasn't like, it was clean. Like we cleaned it every week. You know, we all had our own chores, the four of us. And my mom is very hard of seeing, like she's legally blind. And so she needed a lot of help with that because she couldn't see all the things. And so we did a lot of that. And so the house was never like in distress, but at the same time, it probably wasn't the way I keep my current house, you know, but my grandma kept her house like this, which is, you know, kind of that flip-flop situation. So that skipping of a generation situation. But yeah.
I'm sure there's some
psychological generation.
You just read my brain. Yeah, that's interesting.
We should find some research on that.
We should. I'm sure it's there. I'm sure it's there. And then how does that affect your marriage? Whole nother topic. We could go on a whole different tangents, but I come from one type of household. My husband comes from a different type. Where do you meet in the middle with what those expectations are? Right.
And it's funny because when I met my husband, his apartment was not clean.
Because he was young.
Yeah. He was just 17 when he got his first apartment. So yeah. And then of course we didn't meet until we were 19-ish, I think, as he was still young and figuring out his life. And then he figured out he could control it, and that is important for him. So I had to get good at it. Yeah. I didn't get good at it fast. It took me a lot of years to get it the way he likes it. But I do it the way he likes it because it's important to him, and that's his love language.
Well, and that's a part of marriage, right? Is figuring out that balance of what's important to who. And
I'm not bitter about it. Like there's no resentment or anything. I don't want anyone to hear that, like that I figured it out because this is how he wants it. It is how he wants it. And I did choose to figure it out because I love him and this makes him less stressed out.
You're going to make a sacrifice because that's what we do, right? They make sacrifices for us. We make sacrifices for them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, good call. That was the
Very
tangent we did
that
not
was
plan,
totally, but it's so important and
yeah.
it kind of all goes together.
So the last bit about this is we've talked about, you know, should kids have chores to begin with? If they should, what's age appropriate based on their abilities? And then the last thing I have here is, should kids get paid for chores?
There's going to be a lot of different views and opinions on this.
There's 2 different ones in my current household. So.
And there's no right or wrong answer.
Right.
So really just making sure that you and your husband are on the same page is probably the most important here.
That's the most important. So, you know, it is clear that from the biblical perspective that children should indeed have chores. Not only does that teach them the practical skills, responsibility, but it also aligns with the values of obedience, stewardship, teamwork, gratitude, humility, and at the central of the, you know, and that's central at the Christian faith. So does it make sense to give them what I would call a commission? It's what we used to give Mackenzie when she was younger. We would give, it's from Dave Ramsey. If you read the Total Money Makeover Kids Edition, they talk about giving kids commissions. And we did that with Mackenzie. However, I think I would do it a little differently now.
Can you explain what that is for those that don't know?
So we would make her like a chore chart for every week. And if she completed the chore chart, she would get a certain amount of, basically it's an allowance. In my opinion, allowance is you just get this amount of money, whether you do anything or not. And then there's the part of chores where it's like, well, but the kids live there, so they shouldn't get paid for doing their daily tasks, you know, kind of thing. And so for us, it worked for her when she was small. However, we don't give a commission to Corey. One, because he's not doing nearly as much as she did, because she was very advanced for her young ages. Mackenzie is very intelligent and she was always far above her age, right? And so she was able to help out a little more. And it was just the 3 of us, you know, and so there wasn't quite as many people in the house as there is now. I mean, it's only 1 additional, but you know, Corey's like a tornado. So, But we gave Mackenzie commissions, and that was the way we kind of taught her about money. We wanted her to have commissions to save, spend, and tithe. We did that with her when she was small. I think I would do it a little bit differently with Corey. There is this mom that I saw on Instagram a few weeks back on a reel. I have no idea who she is, but she basically shows like different principles, like budgeting principles with your kids. And she gives them like a monthly salary. So it's like $4 or $5, right, for each kid. And then they pay their rent and utilities. It's $1, you guys. She's not charging her children rent, but she's teaching them, this is your salary. And then this is what you have to pay out for your bills. And then from what they have left, they decide, do I want to save up and buy a toy? Or do I want to, save up and do this? And what's my tithe for what I've just made this month? And so I thought that was really cool. Yeah, I mean, it's fairly similar to a commission, but I don't think she tied it so much to chores, right? Like you do chores because you're part of the family. You're not getting this money because of the chores. You're getting it because this is your salary for being a part of the household kind of thing. And then that's just teaching them their budgeting skills.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting way to do it. I like it.
What do you think?
So we are kind of the mindset that you're part of the family. Everyone helps out. Everyone has their set chores. We actually do zones. So again, my house is not perfectly clean, but there are a lot of us that are home all day, every day. All day. Every day. I mean, we go a lot of places, but still, we have zones and each kid has a zone. And when I say zone, it's like, okay, one kid has the kitchen, one kid has the living room, one kid has the bathroom, that kind of thing. Of course, the younger ones don't have a full zone. They have a little smaller area. And so this is their responsibility for our house where we don't pay them allowance or commissions or anything like that. However, we do have things that are above and beyond where, okay, I need this done and I can't do this right now. And it's something I would normally do. So if you're willing to do it, then I will give you something for it. And we agree on however much it is before they complete whatever that task is. It's not an all the time thing. It's as things kind of come and go. And those same things can also be punishments as well. So like example, pulling weeds. If I just need the weeds pulled, which I do right now, and you have earned a consequence for some reason, well, you're going to go pull the weeds and you're not going to get anything for it. Right. But if there is no consequence on the table and I just need them pulled and you go out there, well, I'm going to give you something for doing that because it's something that I don't have to do that I normally would.
Right.
That's just kind of how we do it. It's worked for us and our family. But again, every kid's different. So their abilities are different. The idea with the zones is we change them every so often so that they're going to rotate through all of the different zones of the house and learn as they go the different things that are needed to keep those areas clean. Yeah. It's not a perfect system, but
yeah, that's good.
It works.
Yeah, works for you guys. Great. I mean, as parents, it is our responsibility to guide and train our children in accordance with these principles. So by incorporating chores and possibly commissions or allowance, however you want to do it or not do it, into their routine, we're not only shaping their character, but we're also preparing them to become responsible adults who contribute positively to society, and then we can learn the budget at the same time if you're doing the money aspect of it. Yeah. There's a lot of different things that can come to this.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely. I mean, really, you're teaching them how to be successful in the real world.
Right.
And
and that's what homeschooling 1 is all about in general.
Absolutely.
I mean, homeschooling as a whole is about teaching them life skills over everything else, right? Like it's about relationships and teaching them life skills so that they can have those good, solid foundation of those when they go out to the world. I think that keeping a house up so that you're not living in with animals and creatures and things, that's important. Right. And it's important so that they are sanitary when they're older too.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And we should never make them feel bad about it though, when they're struggling to keep it the way we want it. That's something I think we have to remember.
Absolutely. And with that, there are seasons for everybody. There are seasons where we are struggling. There are seasons where they are struggling. There are seasons when our friends are struggling. one of the things that has blessed me more than I can say is when friends have come in and helped when I was struggling. And that in itself doesn't just speak to me, it speaks to the kids too. Know that there's no judgment when you go to friends' houses. That's not what this is about. Right. Our houses aren't always perfect. But if your friends are struggling, then reaching out and checking on them may be an okay thing to do.
Right.
Or stepping in and helping out. That speaks volumes to the kids as well.
Yeah. I mean, it just shows how much when your kids, like that your friends care for you and your family, something that is a loving thing, to do.
An acts of service.
Yeah. An act of service and kindness. So I think that that's a cool thing to do as well. So that was a good one.
That was very good.
I liked it.
Yeah.
I was a fan. So if you're a fan.
I hope so.
If you're a fan of the episode, please subscribe to the show. Leave a review and rate us because we want to know if there's something we can improve on. Let us know. If you have chores and you do it a different way for your kiddos, we'd love to hear about it. Go to our Facebook or Instagram page and post it underneath today's show title. Do the things, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. If so, share it with somebody. This is the best way to get this out to all the people. Ready to pray?
Yep.
All right, let's do it. Dear Lord, thank you so much for all that you give us, the blessings of our homes and the resources that we have to be able to keep our homes and keep them as a service to you. Basically, we are stewarding the resource you have given to us. And we just are so grateful for our children and that you have given them to us and that we can teach them how to be contributing members of society as they grow, and that hopefully we are training them up in the ways that they should go. And we pray that this episode is a helpful tool to parents who aren't sure how they should incorporate chores with their kids. And if there's anything they can feel conviction from or helpful from, we hope that they hear that from you. In your holy and awesome name, amen. All right, guys, we'll see you next week. Bye.
Hey, bestie.